Hello, this is Mr. Schneider. Today we're going to look at a very short podcast on federalism. Federalism is the way that our government is set up. It divides power between the federal government and it saves power, gives powers to the state governments. If you look at this Venn diagram here, it shows some of the different powers and how they are split up. Some of the national government declares war, the post office, local government, state governments, schools, any sort of licensing like marriage licenses is handled by the states. And there's some things that are shared between the two, such as taxes and building roads and criminal justice system. All right, so the Constitution establishes a federal form of government. In Articles 6, Section 2, but that's also called the Supremacy Clause, because while it does set up this federal form of government dividing the power, it does say that the national government is supreme. But also in the Constitution, it also says that any powers not given directly to the national government are reserved for the states, and that's in the 10th Amendment. While giving both sides all these powers, there are also some powers that are denied to both the national and the state governments. Things such as trying to enter your house without a warrant or without reasonable cause. So while it gives powers, it also says there's certain things government can't do. Then there's also things, as we talked about, that are shared between the two levels of government, and those are called concurrent powers. And those include things like paying taxes, providing for roads. So there's federal powers, there's reserve powers, and there's concurrent powers. All right, let's watch a little video clip here about federalism.
Hi, I'm Craig, and this is Crash Course Government and Politics, and today we're going to talk about a fundamental concept in American government, federalism. You're not even endangered anymore. Federalism is a little confusing because it includes the word federal as in federal government, which is what we use to describe the government of the United States as a whole, which is kind of the opposite of what we mean when we say federalism. Confused? Google it. This video will probably come up, and then just watch this video. Or just continue watching this video. So what is federalism? Most simply, it's the idea that in the U.S., governmental power is divided between the government of the United States and the government of the individual states. The government of the U.S., the national government, is sometimes called the federal government, while the state governments are just called the state governments. This is because technically the U.S. can be considered a federation of states, but this means different things to different people. For instance, federation of states means ham sandwich to me. I'll have one federation of states, please. Side of tater tots. Thank you. I'm kind of dumb. In a federal system, the national government takes care of some things, like, for example, war with other countries and delivering the mail, while the state government takes care of other things like driver's license, hunter's license, barber's license, dentist's license, license to kill. That's James Bond, and that's in England, and that, I hope states don't do that. Pretty simple, right? Maybe not. For one thing, there are some aspects of government that are handled by both the state and the national government. Taxes. Americans' favorite government activity are an example. There are federal taxes and state taxes. But it gets even more complicated because there are different types of federalism depending on what period in American history you're talking about. Stan, why is history so confusing? Stan, you can tell me? Can you talk, Stan? Basically.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the actual different types of powers given to government. So the and it takes me back to my childhood there. All right. So powers that are actually listed in the Constitution, these are express powers, and these are given expressly to the federal government. They're also called enumerated powers, meaning that, hold on one second, meaning that they are listed in the Constitution. They're given to the federal government. So those are enumerated or expressed. We also have implied powers. These are not listed in the government, but the Constitution gives the federal government the power the right. It's called the necessary and proper clause. So if there's something they feel is necessary and proper to conduct government business, they are allowed to do that. So examples of that include the military draft and the Federal Reserve Bank, neither of which there's anything about them in the Constitution, but our federal government has used. There are reserve powers. This is the 10th Amendment to the Constitution, and these are powers not given to the federal government, and these are reserved for the states. So examples of these are like marriage licenses and driver's licenses. And then finally we have concurrent powers, and these are powers that are given to both the federal and the state government, and these include things like taxes and building roads. All right, that's podcast 5.2. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.